I've just finished book 2, The Haunting of Bronte. Basically, I thought, what would be a good hook for book 2? And I'd already done this kind of Austen pastiche, so I thought, how about an Austen Bronte mashup? So I was thinking about what in the Brontes' history would be a good setting for a mystery, and then in my research, I found out that Branwell Bronte had been involved in some scandal at Thorpe Green Hall, where he'd been tutor for a year, and his sister Anne had got him the job, which she had been governess for 5 years. She loved it there. But he started up something with the lady of the house, who was nearly 20 years older than him, and her name was Mrs. Robinson, of all things. And he was dismissed. There was some suggestion that if he returned, he would be shot, and Anne had to resign. She felt she could stay there no longer. And I just thought this would be perfect to have a mystery, some people dying before them, because nobody really knows what happened at Thorpe Green Hall. Mrs. Gaskell said she blamed that bad woman, meaning Mrs. Robinson, who tempted Branwell Bronte. But I thought, what if there's more going on? And so I introduced the element of the haunting. And also I just like the title, The Haunting of a Bronte. I thought, oh, that really stands out. Maybe that will catch people's attention. So then I had to actually write a haunting of a Bronte. But it turned out to be great fun. So Anne was the governess, but her children were not even really children anymore. The Robinson girls were in their late teens, so she had stayed there probably too long anyway, so she probably was due eventually to go. But Branwell was tutor to a little boy called Ed Robinson, and I think he was about 12. And in the book, they're all a bit peculiar, so I've taken the Robinson name in vain, alas. But yes, had to have them as upper servants, really, the Brontes, and have them be subservient to this family, and for Anne to discover that her brother, who she knew had so much potential, he's so clever, but he had an unfortunate drinking and drug habit, and so that he had got involved in this relationship that would ruin his career and hers was very difficult. So yeah, that just seemed like very fertile ground for a storyteller. And to send Georgiana in there, just that extra, I think it's 40, she goes 46 years into the future, and the Victorian era is very different from the Georgian era. In some ways, culturally, the Georgian era was more liberal, and there's a certain kind of oppressive small-mindedness in the Victorian era, really around, who everyone being kept in their place, and there was no tolerance for affairs in the upper classes, which all of these things were a bit more accepted in the Georgian period. And even among servants, it wasn't that uncommon for servants to get married with the bride having an 8-month pregnant belly, whereas in the Victorian era that became very frowned upon. So that was interesting, a little bit of culture shock in a different direction. Well, she's learning as well to trust her own instincts, and she's growing in confidence. But yeah, she is quite naive, and she's only sort of 20 in the first one, so like 21 in the second one. She's got all of this pressure at home to marry, because if she gets to 22 and she's unmarried, she'll be considered, an old maid on the shelf. So she's got those pressures back home, but then this is very alluring to her, being out in the world, and she's using her own wits to not just thrive in these unfamiliar environments, but also to solve crimes. So it's terrifying in some ways for her, but she enjoys it. I always seem to do this thing where there is a victim, but then the body disappears. I don't know if that's saying too much, but I like to have that really strong visual, the really shocking visual, and then for something to happen that leaves Georgiana questioning if she really saw that very shocking thing, or if she's losing her mind as a result of all of this time travel, for instance. So yeah, that. But in terms of the actual plotting out of various people dying, I always find that difficult. I always find it difficult to know when and how many people to kill off. And I know a lot of crime writers do this and have it all planned out, every single chapter. I don't know if you do that or not when you're writing, if you have like a chapter plan with everything that's going to happen in it. Yeah, I don't do that either. So I sort of go with the flow a bit, but I can write myself into some tangles doing that. So there's a lot of editing. And there are also, there's the introduction of some other objects, also from the 90s. There is, for instance, a Palm Pilot that somebody else has. So yes, new things come in. That was really fun actually researching all of the old sort of 90s tech. So yeah, my editors were very keen. Like, how does this work? What is the mechanics of this? And so yeah, we had to go through a lot of that. But I think it is good to have a bit more context around that. But I mean, really, at the end of the day, it is a magical pager that transports Georgiana Darcy through time. You either can go with it or you can't.